Wholeness and harmonious vibrations. Thank you so much for stopping by. I am Divine Lady Nin Hersag, your sister of a distant moon, and I have come to serve you. Well, today I want to get a little personal. I want to talk about something that I don't normally talk about because at some point I made up in my mind that I'm not going to allow this to dictate my life and how I live my life. I was a big victim of domestic abuse for 9 years. There's so many stories. There's so much I can say about domestic abuse. But the main point that I want to convey to anyone in a life that is riddled with domestic abuse, and by domestic abuse, I mean physical, it could be mental, um, it could be psychological. Abuse is abuse. If there is anything that is going on that you do not, that does not make you feel absolute best in a relationship, and that's really any kind of relationship, it doesn't have to just be a intimate relationship with a mate or partner. It could be, grandparents abuse, children's abuse, any type of abusive relationship. There's so many different types of abusive relationships. And I'm really just going off the cuff because this was led on my heart recently to go ahead and begin to peel back the layers of domestic abuse in my life and what has happened and how I was able to overcome it and uplift myself. One of the things about domestic abuse is that it tears you down. You may be saying that you're okay, I'm all right, it's okay. And you asked yourself, why do you stay or why do you continue to put up with what you're putting up with? I know in my case, I was a young parent of 3 children. And it wasn't so much because I loved them, but I did love them. I loved them very much, especially when the abuse first started. That's how I ended up staying so long. But at some point, I still loved him, but I didn't love him to the point that I wouldn't leave. I would even say right now to this day, I even love him as a person. I love him as my child's father. And I love the good things about him that I remember. Uh, but it wasn't the type of love that would make me stay. I stayed for security. Like I said, I was a young parent of 3 children, and I had been with this man for some years, and I had gotten used to a certain lifestyle, a certain way of being, not having to worry about certain things because he was a good provider. And I was fearful that I wasn't going to be able to give my children all the things that they had been receiving. So I stayed. And I stayed and I stayed. Then finally, once I got the courage to leave, then he would come get me. And then to keep the peace, because I didn't want to bring drama to where I was living or where I was staying. So, these people had enough, kindness in their heart to let me come and stay, whether it was my parent or my girlfriends or whomever. And now I got, psycho beating down the door. And I shouldn't call names, but at that point he was acting psycho. So um I'm going to be having this conversation about domestic abuse for some time because domestic abuse can put such a hold on your life that you will forget who you are. I just remember my light being so bright. I was so happy and so energetic. And I was so vibrant, and I was always looking forward to the next day and the next happenings. And I'm not saying that there weren't other issues that had happened in my life that probably could have went a different way. But I just remember that turning point. That was definitely a turning point in my life that caused me to forget about being my greatest version. And it brings tears to my eyes because I remember crying almost every day for 2 years just because I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get out. I didn't know, and I couldn't figure out. And I was afraid. I was afraid. I was afraid because he would say things to me like he's going to kill me, kill the children, and then kill himself. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to make sure my battery doesn't go dead. So I was afraid for us. I was afraid for me. I was afraid for my children. I was afraid that he was really going to kill us. And then it just came to a head one day. It came to a head one day, and I digged so deep down in my soul. The despair was so great. And I said to him, if dying is the only way for me to be rid of you, kill me now. Do you know what that means? That means that I'm ready to give up my life and everything. Forget about all the people in my life that may care about me. Because, you know, the first thing about an abuser is that they separate you. They separate you from your family, your friends, and people that care about you that may be able to intervene. So I was ready to give it all up. I mean, when you reach the point in your life where you are so riddled with despair that it's just not even worth it anymore. I'm so done with you and your treatment of me that I'll check out. It's all good. I'll check out. And I remember at that point that he said that to me, or I said that to him. He just walked away. Is that some mind trickery or what? I mean, that is like, that type of abuse is even worse than the actual physical abuse. So that was just a situation that had, one of the situations that had happened. But as you can see, I'm still here. And I'm not in that relationship anymore. I haven't been in that relationship for some time. And what I do want people to know is that hurt people hurt other people. So I don't blame him at all. I love him. I love him as my child's father. I love him as a person, as a reflection of me, because I also had a choice in the situation, and I had a choice to stay. I had a choice to stay in that relationship. And in any abusive relationship, you always get signs first. So the first time that he flipped out on me, that was the time that you run. That's the time that you say, yeah, the hell with this. This isn't what I want for myself. I love myself. I love me. And you really have to love yourself enough to leave or to go away. And that's not easy once you've been in the relationship for a while. Trust me, I know. And I will never tell anyone to leave unless you know you have a safe place to go and that you are aware of that all is at stake. Because I really thought he was going to kill me and my kids and then kill himself. We had actually had in my local area where I live, there was actually a man that did just that. He killed his children and his girlfriend because he was so jealous, struck by jealousy, and there was nothing to be jealous about. He killed them and then he killed himself. So that was fresh in my mind around that time. I was like, oh no. Oh hell no. I'm not gonna let you kill me. I love me too much, but I don't love me enough to leave, is what was going on in the back of my mind. And then when you think, you actually go back and you start digging a little deeper and you start thinking back a little further at some other things that have happened in your life. And you find that abusive situation that you were in wasn't the beginning. There were other things that were involved, that were a part of this whole setup, that landed you in this type of relationship to begin with. Whether it was molestation, whether it was child abuse, whether it was issues of abandonment, something put you in the lap of an abuser, of an abusive situation where you can continue to have those feelings of unworthiness, guilt, shame. There was something else working. But I just want all of you to know, anybody that might be listening out there, anybody that might have a similar situation or know someone that's in a situation such as this, where there is abuse, there's domestic violence, mental, physical, emotional, verbal, psychological. Did I say that? If there's someone that you know, just be supportive of them. Pray for them. One thing that no one can take for you is what's in your head. And that's where the work needs to begin. And hindsight is 20/20 for me right now, because I've been out of that relationship for so many years. And trust me, it wasn't easy. I have a mini story I can tell you of things that happened toward the process of getting out of this relationship. And as I began to want my freedom and actually demand my freedom, because I am a sovereign being of this universe and I have every right to have freedom for myself as any other man, woman, or child on the planet. I apologize. A call was coming in. You have that right. You are a sovereign being of this universe, and you have a right to live the life that you deserve to live. No one has the rights to put their hands on you, to abuse you, to call you out your name, to tear you down to the ground to the point that you don't even remember how to stand. No one has that right. But you also have to keep in mind you play a part in all this as well. You play a part. Sometimes you have to do the work before you can actually break free. You have to build yourself up emotionally, mentally, and you have to be strong. But that takes work because you didn't get tore down right from the very beginning. It takes time to build that back up. And I just wanted to share this with you because I will do a series of where I will share some stories, but I'm only sharing these stories. And I want you to know this straight right now. I'm only sharing these stories because I want to help. I want to help you and I want to serve you. I want you to know that there are people out there like you. I want you to know that there are people out there like you that look like you, that are everyday people. This is my apartment. It looks like any other apartment, you know, anywhere in the world. So I'm not like, an anomaly. I'm a real live flesh and blood human being. I'm really a divine being of light living in a human experience. And now on my path, I realize that all that has happened before this very moment in time, I chose. And if you can even fathom that, I chose that so that I can be here to assist you and inspire you and let you know that there is life after abuse, that you don't have to allow your past experiences to dictate where you're going to be going from this day forward with your life. You don't have to wear your heart and all your mess on your sleeve. If you do, it's a choice, and it's nothing wrong with that. We all have divine free will given to us by the divine creator, because he loves us so much that he's not going to make us do something that we don't want to do. So, in closing, I just want to let you know that I love you. I support you. I'm Divine Lady Ninhursag, and I will be here to talk about domestic abuse and the experiences that I had and just how I was able to rise above it. And as I said earlier, it begins in your consciousness. Working on your consciousness and letting yourself know that you deserve a better life. If you want a better life, you got to want it. No, this is something that can't anyone do for you. You have to do this for yourself. You have to, and you have to want it. And you have to have such a burning desire inside you that you want it, that you're willing to do anything, go through anything to get there. And just as a side note, this is just an experience. This is just a life. What I'm about to say, some people may not be able to handle this. This may be something new to you. This is a metaphysical channel. So I'm going to say it. When you die, you go on to something else. You go on to another assignment. It's not the end. It's not over. This is how we're able to communicate with our ancestors on the other side. This isn't anything bad. This is good. But just so you know, if you're afraid of dying, I never understood this. Everybody want to go to heaven, but don't nobody want to die. That was in one of the movies that I watched that I kind of liked that movie too back in the day. I think it was called Marked for Death. Everybody want to go to heaven, but don't nobody want to die. What's that about? When I was faced with the decision to keep dealing with domestic abuse or die, I chose death. I said, kill me now. And I meant every word of it. And that's the moment my soul cried out and said, okay. And it actually put him on notice like, okay, do what you say you're going to do. And thankfully, he walked away. I'm so very thankful for that, because there are some people that are really crazy. I think he was just playing crazy, or he just had bouts of crazy. So I just want you to know you have support, and there are others out here like you. I'm not in an abusive relationship right now. I haven't been for some time, but it takes a little while for you to stop attracting that same type of person. So I just want you to know that I'm here for you. I'm Divine Lady Nin Herzog, and we'll have these conversations pretty regularly, because I think this is part of my healing process, and this is something that I need to get out of my system, because in some forms it is still holding me back from being my greatest version. So this is as much for you as it is for me. And I love you, and I thank you for sharing in this experience. I love you with my whole soul. Stay inspired. I'm not sure how to. Are you sure you want to stop screaming?